Hey everybody, welcome back. This is part 3 of our Belgian Caramel Wit process, and this is actually moving it now from our secondary into the bottling bucket, and from the bottling bucket into the bottles. So what are you going to need? You don't need a bottle tree like I have. You can, handle your bottles any way you like. I like the bottle tree myself. There's a couple things that make it kind of nice. It's got a pump on top. So once I fill it with sanitizer, it's just a matter of pumping the sanitizer into it and putting the bottles back, and then when I sit and fill, I just pull the bottles off. It holds 45, so it's a little bit shy of what I need. I typically need about 52. You'll need a bottle capper. The bottle caps will come with your kit, so you should be okay. The other thing you're going to need, obviously, is a bottling bucket. And a bottling wand, which I have down in the bottom, right here. That actually allows the beer to flow into the bottle, and when you raise it up off the bottom of the bottle, because there's a little, call it a switch for instance here, that allows it in and out. So once you raise it up, the beer stops flowing, and you can move on to the next bottle. And then a siphon to actually move the beer from the secondary into the bottling bucket. I also use a lid on the bottling bucket just to make sure no contaminants get in there. I think it's highly unlikely, but it makes me feel good. And again, the hydrometer, because you want to get a hydrometer reading. The other thing you're going to need is a pot, so that on the stove you can boil 2 cups of water along with your priming sugar. In this case, it's 5 ounces of priming sugar that will get dissolved into boiling water for about 5 minutes. So that's really all there is to it. Don't forget about the sanitizer. You've got to get everything sanitized, and then you'll be good to go. The other thing you might want to do is have a way to handle your bottles after you've got them all capped up. You've seen my reviews on the CW beer crates. I use those. I think they're great. They're sturdy. They're waterproof. They're basically indestructible. Love them. I've got plenty of them. That's about all there is to it. So I won't show the boiling of the sugar. I mean, you've gotten this far. You've gotten wort all the way down into the secondary, and now you're ready to bottle. So I don't think we need to talk about how you boil 2 cups of water and dissolve the priming sugar. So we'll start with coming down here and having all the sanitizing done, and starting to pour the priming sugar solution into the bottling bucket. So let's do it. Okay, I've sanitized everything at this point, all the bottles, the bottling bucket, the wands, the pumps, everything, just so you can see how this works. It's very easy, just a couple pumps on each bottle, and you've got it full of sanitizer, and you can put it right back on the rack again. What I do, and don't look for any particular tips from me on what makes this easier, but for me, I usually pull a bottle, sanitize it, and set it on the table. So as I go around, I always know where I started, then pull the bottle up, put it on the rack. Okay, so we're all set. I've got the 2 cups of water that were boiled with the priming sugar, so that was boiled with the priming sugar. Let's go ahead and dump it in. Okay, and then the next step is to get your pump and I'm taking it out of the sanitizer here. And remember, it's a no-rinse sanitizer, so there's really no harm in having the foam on there. So there's a couple things I want to do now. One is I want to make sure that I start the flow of beer into the bottling bucket. The second thing I want to do is make sure that I get a hydrometer sample, so I can compare that final gravity reading to what the spec says it should be. So I'm just going to start the flow, and then just like I did on the steps in the last video, and I'm always looking to make sure there's no air here, is I'm going to grab a sample and just set it over on the bar and take a look at it a little later on. I've checked this gravity before, so I have a pretty good idea where it is. And you may want to do that final gravity reading prior to even getting into the bottling stage. You may want to do a couple final gravity readings right before you like a day or two before you bottle, just to make sure nothing's changed and that you're in a good spot. So that's it. Things are looking good here. We're going into the bottling bucket, so once that's full, I'm going to transfer that up so I have a good flow going down the bottling wand to the bottles, and we'll come back when the bucket's full. Alright, so we've moved the brew up here onto the bar from down below. We dropped it from the secondary. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is make sure you have your sanitized spoon, and now we're going to stir all that sugar solution into the brew, and typically I stir it for a couple minutes, and then once that's done, we're really ready to get into the bottling. I just want to make sure this is all mixed up. I know some folks like to put priming sugar directly into their bottles. That's fine. I like to do it this way. To me, I just think there's less chance for error there. But you know, however people want to do it, that's up to you. Once this is stirred up, I'm going to hook up the bottling wand, and we'll go to town bottling. Bottling wand is connected, and I know this is going to be really hard to see. What I'm going to do is put the wand in and bring the fluid right up to the spot right here, and then I'll pull the wand out, and that's going to leave the fluid at the right spot for me. It'll be just the perfect placement, so everything turns out all right. And once you get down, once you start reaching the top, you can always back off just a little bit, and then I always get another bottle ready and go right in with that one. Now what you can do at this point is, you've got a container and you've got your caps and sanitizer. You can at this point, if you want, just pull a cap out, set it on the bottle, and move it off to the side. That's typically what I do, just to save time, and then they're all capped and ready for when I'm ready to get to the capper stage. So really that's all there is to bottling. It's pretty fast. I know a lot of people don't like it and they've gone to kegging, which is fine. I like the bottles. It gives me the ability to do a mix of different beer styles in the refrigerator. So when people come over, they actually have a choice. And it's, you know, it's fairly straightforward and simple. It doesn't take all that long. I'd say it probably takes about an hour, a little over an hour from start to finish. So that's all there is to it. So we'll be back in a minute when we go to cap. All right, I filled up probably about 30 bottles at this point. So all you really need to do is center your capper over the bottle, push down, bottled beer, wonderful. That's all there is to it. Now I'll have to go through and do this, 52 more times, and then I'll have 2 cases plus of brew that needs to condition in the bottles. Alright, that's it for bottling the Belgian Caramel Wit. So now you've seen the whole process from brewing through moving to the secondary and now to bottling. So you can see it's pretty straightforward, but the question that's probably still on your mind is, hey, I'm thirsty now. Me too. So I'm going to have a little Scottish ale. You'll have to go to your own refrigerators and dig out your own home brew. And then one last thing that I do to kind of top off the process, if you're looking at the crates, you can see there's a little white sticker here in the corner. That basically is the style of beer. So on this, I think I can get 24 these little stickers. They're real easy to use. You can print them out on your home printer once you put the words in that you want. And I always put in the brew date so that if I have 2 batches of Weizen beer or 2 batches of Scottish ale, which I do, and I do have multiple batches of American Light and Weizen beer, this always lets me know what date I'm pulling when I'm drinking. My concern was, let's say that I bottled up a second batch of Weizen beer and everything's mixed together, and then I all of a sudden have a problem with the batch. Okay, I wouldn't know then how many bottles I had gone through, how many are still left to sort out. Every bottle would end up being probably a nasty surprise, be hit or miss. So this way I keep everything separated by batch. and if I have a problem, I can isolate it down to the bottles that are affected. So anyway, whatever works for you guys. It can be a piece of paper on, you know, on your cases or whatever keeps things straight for you. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm sure we'll be back next week with something else going on. I know we won't be tasting any of this. This is going to take probably 2 to 3 weeks conditioning before we can, you know, crack open one, and I know it'll get a lot better after that. So anyway, for those of you celebrating Homebrew Wednesday, you know, happy Homebrew Wednesday, and for everyone else, have a great week. And until next time, cheers. This has been a Matty Boy presentation. Say bye-bye, Matty.